The first story I told at the Long Beach Community Theater stage was the story of finding my birth mother in 2009. I want to encapsulate that story tonight because the story I'm going to tell is actually related to it, and there are people here who probably haven't heard that story. So, briefly, I was adopted, and in 2009 I found out that I could get my original birth certificate. I found my mother's name on it. The woman I thought might be my mother had a phone number. I called. A woman in Casper, Wyoming answered. I said, I'm looking for Ellen Green. She said, I'm Ellen Green. I said, I'm looking for an Ellen Green who used to be Ellen Brooks. She said, I used to be Ellen Brooks. I said, I'm looking for an Ellen Brooks that used to live in Denver. She said, I lived in Denver, but that was a long time ago. I said, here comes the hard question. Did you ever give up a son for adoption? And she said, yes. Are you him? And I said, yes. And she said, are you happy? That reaction right there has been every time I've told this story. It's a universal thing. The idea that someone gives up their child, and the first thing I want to know, are they happy? So, fast forward to 2023. My birth mother has died. I got 14 years with her, it was great. I'm going to a songwriting retreat in Idaho, Stanley, Idaho, aptly named. And I'm going with three other songwriters. 4 of us from California are going, 1 flying from the Bay Area, 3 of us from down south. And we decided we're gonna meet in Boise, we're gonna rent a van together and drive up to Stanley, Idaho in the car and go to the songwriting retreat. Well, the road from Boise to Stanley, Idaho is about 3.5-hour drive, and there is nothing on this 3.5-hour drive, except for one small town with a convenience store and a gas station. So we did what songwriters do, and we start telling stories, and pretty soon, invariably, the story for me ended up going around to my birth mother. So I'm telling these other 3 songwriters who have not heard this story, the story about finding my birth mother. And I get to that line, and she said, are you happy? And everybody in the car gasps. It's the same reaction you all just had. And we all start going like, oh, that's amazing, that's amazing. I swear to you, a second later, we've been driving for hours through Idaho without seeing anything. On the right side of the road, there's a cement abutment out of nowhere. First thing we've seen anywhere on this road. And somebody has spray painted on that abutment, stay happy. We all gasped. And we had a moment, another moment around what my mother had said. One of the songwriters turns to me and says, well, I guess I know what the first song you're going to write when you get to songwriting camp is. So I'd now like to present to you the abridged version of Stay Happy. Sisters and brothers, we've all been there before. Those days when life has beaten us down. But even in your lowest, there's one thing you can't control. How you gonna take it? How you gonna beat it? How you gonna get back up again? You gotta stay happy. You gotta stay frosty. You gotta stay cool, calm, collected, and alert. But most of all, brother, just try to stay happy. Even when life drags you through the dirt. Even when life drags you through the hurt. Even when life eats you for dessert. Even when you think your life is getting you nowhere. You gotta stay happy. Stay happy. Stay happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stan. That made us happy. Thank you.